It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You could find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting if you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Don't forget our Patreon. If you like what you hear on AM/FM radio Monday to Friday, everything you hear on the radio you could find over at our Patreon with all the ads and the commercials cut out. And also, too, it's the best search engine to find old shows. We're shadow banned on so many platforms and stuff. If you're looking for an old show, instead of emailing me and say, hey, what about the show? Join Patreon, and you could find it, because that's the best search engine to find the old shows. Plus, I put up a lot of free content, too, up there all the time, too. Every week, all of our shows, the past shows, the archives, are free at Spreaker.com. You go to Spreaker.com, 8 p.m. Friday nights. I do a live show, a solo show, where I just talk about what's going on during the week, and then we play 2 hours of brand new content every Friday night on Spreaker.com. It's a chat room, and you get an email notification whenever we put up new content. I also play repeats there all the time, too, as well. One of those frustrating shows today. We have our guest today is Lisa Bratt Martinez. Her real name is Bratt. Okay, we were talking about this before the show. And we're talking about this, we giggle about this, but you have to, man, because it's just so frustrating. Justice for Pablo Velez, a young man. He's sitting in jail for 18 years. I don't know much about this case yet, but it seems to me that there's a lot of exculpatory evidence that should put this guy, that should free him by now. But because of the way our legal system is, there appears to be very little hope at the moment. Lisa Bratt Martinez, are you there?
Hi. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much. Now, people can find Lisa Bratt Martinez on Instagram, just if you put in Lisa Bratt Martinez. And you could find Justice for Pablo Velez if you go to Facebook. There's a Facebook group there, too, as well. And then there's a link tree with all kinds of different ways that you could write to the judge and write to the prosecutor and donate money if you have some extra cash around. All kinds of stuff there. Sign a petition. Before we get into the case of Pablo Velez Jr., tell us about yourself. Who is Lisa Bratt Martinez?
Well, I grew up on a little farm in Palacios, Texas. So I've got this mad love for animals and just Mother Nature and wildlife. And honestly, I didn't even want to move to the city. I prefer just staying on the farm, but my parents moved me to Houston. And that's where things just started rolling. I started asking apparently too many questions, according to some teachers, but I always wanted to know, well, why can't I do this? What's the reason behind it? Or I don't like just to answer no, because I said so. So I just started helping, even my classmates in school, different things, and growing up. And I'm an actor in the film industry. Our family is, that's all we've known. And so once I became acting and more well-known, I decided to use my platform to help others and animals, of course, always. So I find myself to do that. And just like you, I've thought about being a private investigator, because there's a lot of things going on that I like to research deeply into it and find out what's going on and what can I do to help.
Well, thank God things haven't gotten so bad that you had to turn to PI work. Okay.
No, it's interesting, though. I think it's so interesting.
You get bored with all this stuff after a while. It's the same routine over and over again. How did you get interested in Mr. Pablo Velez Jr. in his case?
Well, it was one night, late at night and stuff, I came across this information, and it kept me up. It was 3:30 in the morning. It kept me up for 4 hours just digging, because I just didn't understand, wrongfully accused, okay, and wrongfully convicted, why? Where did this, all start? And it's out of Harris County. The DA at this current time is Kim Ogg, who I know personally, and I knew her father. And so I thought, let me just present her with everything. And what I read about him, he was just a family man, taking care of his mom and his siblings, and he was a semi-truck driver. And then all this, just one thing after another, is a domino effect.
So you're saying that you grew up friends with the prosecutor in this case?
Yes, I know her very well. She grew up in a neighborhood close to mine where I grew up. And I met her dad. He was a senator. And he introduced me to Kim Ogg.
Well, then what are the charges against what is the official allegations against Mr. Pablo Velez Jr.? What's the official case against him?
Murder.
Mm-hmm. And what were the circumstances of that murder?
The key witness saw the license plate of the getaway car and jotted it down.
Right.
And those are the plates to a vehicle that he sold to a neighbor. He grew up in the Heights area, which is very an upscale neighborhood in Houston, very historic homes, Victorian style and stuff. And coincidentally, that's where the district attorney lives also. Okay,
so who was the fellow that was murdered?
His name was Emerson Boroquez. He was actually a friend who was with the three bad guys when it happened. It was a total accident that he was shot by some of the gunfire.
Now, what about Mr. Velez Jr.? Did Pablo Velez, did he know Mr. Emerson Boroquez?
No.
They had no connection to each other whatsoever?
No, none at all.
And then, do we have a motive of why Boroquez was killed?
No, it was a fight a second night. Began the night before at a well-known pool hall, and then it continued the very next night. But when Emerson got out of the car, and this is also witnesses and police reports, when he got out of the car because of the exchange of gunfire from his two friends, some bullet accidentally hit him and shot and killed him.
So he was sort of hit by friendly fire.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Now, let's get back to Emerson here for a minute. Now, Emerson, did he have a criminal background, any kind of criminal record? What type of person was he? And what kind of employment did he have?
As far as employment, I don't know about his employment. I know that he was the only son because his father has a big role in this also. His father knows that Pablo is innocent and made that statement walking outside of the courtroom in front of Pablo's family.
So is the father cooperating with your group here, trying to raise awareness for Pablo Velez Jr.?
Not at all. He said, looks like we sent an innocent man to prison. And Pablo's uncle said, hey, man, that's my nephew. And he said, well, somebody's got to pay for my son's death.
Have you reached out to him and said, hey, you want to support us?
We have in the beginning. Actually, our legal team has. And then a few years ago, there was a news interview, a news station. Journalists went up to the home, and right off, they just pretty much kicked her off the property and said, if this is about Pablo, we're not going to help, da-da-da-da-da.
Okay. Now you're saying that Emerson got into a dispute with some other guys, and he and his friends got into a shootout with these other guys. Is that at this pool hall? Is that what happened?
Right, but from what I've been told, Emerson didn't even get into the dispute. It was the other guys, according to the police report. Emerson was just there in the back seat of the vehicle, total innocent bystander to everything.
Well,
and when there was gunfire.
What about these other fellows in the car, his friends that were in the shootout? Why haven't they come? Have they come forward and said, "Hey, Pablo Velez has nothing to do with this"?
No, not at all. And those same shell casings matched a murder that witnesses connected them with, pointed them out a month prior to this one.
Okay, so when they were in the car shooting out of the car at this other group of men, they expended some shell casings, and they match another murder, is what you're saying? Right,
a month prior to this murder. And, I mean, what kind of friends are those? They just left their friend who drove there in the back seat with them, just left him there on the ground and took off in the car.
They're friends that have a murder a month prior. You know what I mean? I'd be getting out of there, too, right. You know? I can't blame him for that.
That's bad.
Well, I know. But listen, if you're already on the run for another case. Now, what about that other murder, the month previous murder? What's the disposition of that case?
As far as I know, the case is closed. They apparently have no suspects or anything, according to their records.
So the murder the previous month is today an unsolved homicide.
Mm-hmm. Even though there's witnesses who've come forward and said it was them.
Well, then what about, has anybody reached out to the family of that victim?
Not that I know of, no.
Yeah, see, this is all stuff, that someone should be doing, Now, the first unsolved murder, do you know the motive for that murder?
No, what what I've been told, like, we still have witnesses to this day coming forward, but they're literally scared. And that's one thing I was told, that the dad, Emerson's father, scared as well, because when he was questioning who did it, apparently those two guys that are still out here free, who were never questioned or anything, apparently they're CIs, is what rumor on the streets are.
You know what, man? For the audience who listens to this, she's talking about their informants, their confidential informants. And the audience knows I always go down that route. Man, it seems like every single time there's an unexplained conviction or unexplained guy walking away from a case, it's always because they're an informant. And what needs to be overhauled is this whole informant system where these guys are just getting a get-out-of-jail-free card for whatever they do. And then you'll even have cases where two guys, they're both informants, and they get into a shootout with each other. And it's who has the most rat juice, like who's the bigger rat, you know what I mean, that the cops are going to side with. You know, it's just a disgusting situation. So now the fellows that were in the car with Emerson, they're free to this day, and you believe that they're informants.
Yes, that's what everyone keeps telling us, and the affidavits. But now we have some who aren't, they say they're not scared anymore, that they just can't live with this on their conscience, and they're ready to speak. But I also have seen paperwork that when Emerson's father was questioning, you know, who did this to my son, who took my son away, because he was his only son, that even him and his family members were getting beat up because they were asking too many questions.
So is this like a gang involved in this
Somewhat, the records show. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, so now... are you in contact with Pablo Velez all the time while he's in prison?
Yes, I am.
Then has he had any problems since he's been in prison?
No. Well, in the very beginning, when the legal team kept pursuing all avenues, word was getting around back to him, and he received like death threats, which kind of ties everything in and makes it seem like, okay, maybe there is something going on deeper.
So now, did Pablo Velez, did he have any kind of criminal record before this arrest?
No, not at all. They had nothing. They had to use his old driver's license photo.
Right. So then, and the only thing that traced them back to him was a license plate, but then you're saying that he sold that license plate to a neighbor.
Right. He sold a vehicle to a neighbor, which was the driver, one of those guys. And he had to get back on the road because he was a truck driver. So he was literally hardly ever home, just always nationwide on the road. And he had a partner with him. And they were in Weatherford, Texas that night, which is like 4.5 hours away from Houston.
Wait, so you're saying on the actual night of the murder, he was in another city?
Correct.
And is there proof of that? A hotel receipt? He had a witness with him, an alibi witness? Right.
He had the alibi witness. He has the call logs, the cell phone records where the calls were pinged, and the truck. Something went on with the truck to where he had to call work, and they swapped vehicles, or the loads. I'm sorry, and he had to bring his messed up, truck, whatever, back home. But there's records of all that when he was at the place waiting for his partner's wife to come pick him up. And this is we have everything because his wife, LG's wife, came to pick up LG. He used Pablo's phone to call him, hey, the truck broke down, can you come and get me? She came because the very next morning she was being induced into labor to have their child. And so we have all of that. And that's why to her the memory is like perfect to a T, and it corroborates with his records, the phone logs, everything. And he was at talking with the store clerk for his partner's wife to pick him up. So, and they saw each other.
LG is the partner.
Yes.
Okay, so then let's go through this step by step. The police get a plate number. It traces back, and they look in their computer in the DMV, and it comes back to Pablo Velez Jr. They go to question him. Now, when they first question him, doesn't he say right away, hey, look, here's the receipt. I sold the car. Here's the money going into my bank account. I'm in this other location. Was there that kind of process when he was first being questioned?
Yes. But even that's kind of suspicious to me because they picked him up and are already asking him questions in the vehicle. And I have told him, I just met him 4 years ago.
Right.
But I told him, why did you even answer those questions? You were in the back of a police car. And he's like, well, I mean, I wanted to grow up to be a cop. You know, I was going to be a constable, and I was just trying to help. I said, but you don't do that, you know? And he's like, but I didn't know. Like, I just trusted them. And, you know, people, you know, that's when we grow up. You know, if something's wrong, go to policemen, you know, go to the authorities and tell them. But there's just so much in those documents that it's astounding when you read them.
So now, did this go to trial, or did he plead guilty? What happened there?
He kept pleading not guilty, and it was 2 days. But the judge that he had was Nikita Harmon. She was newly elected criminal judge, and she came from being a traffic court judge. And she had to keep getting up, going to the back for consultation.
Okay, but did he go to trial, or did he plead guilty?
No, he didn't plead guilty. He's always just not guilty. His innocence is all he's done.
So they went to trial?
Right, for 2 days.
Oh, there was a 2-day trial, and the case is complicated, a 2-day trial.
Exactly.
Okay, so you had a public defender?
No, he had a really good one. The racehorse he was very well known here in Houston. He was really, really good, like aggressive, but to the point, everything. And he even told him, don't worry, you know, we have all this, your phone records, you're not going to, you know, serve time, you know, we're going to show that you're not guilty, blah, blah, blah. It was just poof. That man, the attorney, was fighting cancer. Those were his last days, and he ended up passing away right after Pablo's trial was over.
Yeah, I'm familiar with a couple of lawyers that had the nickname Racehorse. What was this guy's name?
His McLean, Racehorse McLean.
I don't think I heard of him.
Houston.
Okay, but now, again, too, now, if he had a good lawyer, okay, who is an experienced lawyer who was, you know, paid attention to what the evidence in the case was, right off the bat, you know, you bat 1,000 there. You got a lawyer who's actually paid attention. But man, wouldn't the lawyer be negotiating with the prosecutors? Because, you know, the prosecutor, when you can go before trial and you could show them, hey, look, you got no case here. Look at all the evidence we have, and they'll drop the charges.
Mm-hmm. And back to the key witness, her name's Claudia. Her statement was, it looks like him, but the actual shooter had lighter hair. Okay, here's the mind-blowing part. She was literally standing in front of the shooter because the shooter was asking her where the father of her child was. And she's like, why do you want him? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you looking for him? When he turned around, the father, I don't want to say baby daddy, but the father of her child was walking up. He took his shirt off, and then the shooter just started shooting him. So Claudia was literally inches away from him. Claudia's 5'4", the same as the shooter. Pablo is 6 feet tall. Pablo's big and muscly guy. He is 6 feet tall. The video lineup, when they put Pablo in to do that, they never showed it to Claudia. They didn't show it to anybody. That would have eliminated him completely.
Now,
but it's like they try to pin it.
The father of Claudia's baby was Emerson?
That was, Adrian Payan.
Okay, so then and there were 2 people shot, but Emerson died.
Right. Well, when the shooter started shooting, he missed Adrian.
Oh.
He did. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. He missed Adrian, and Emerson got shot inside the car.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. I think Adrian did get injured, but he survived, and he lived through. And he said, no, it wasn't Pablo. It was, the other guys. I don't even want to even say their names. I don't like to bring light to them, but you know what I mean? Everybody knows it was them.
Okay, so then was Adrian called as a witness in court?
Yeah, not in court. I believe we have his affidavit where he stated that no, it wasn't Pablo. It wasn't him.
And was this an affidavit that was obtained post conviction, or was this at the trial?
Post conviction.
Yeah. See, it's because he should have testified. No, and because then wait a minute. Does Adrian know who shot him?
Well, now Adrian is supposedly. I mean, I don't know. They say that he's deceased. That he went to Mexico and he's no longer with us.
Okay, and what about Claudia? Did she know who shot her baby's father?
Yes, and she said that's the key witness. She's the one that wrote down the plates. which tied Pablo to it just through the license plates. But she's also been supportive of Pablo. She told Eileen Bogart, the ADA, saying, well, even to back it up a little bit, when Jason Woolley, the third bad guy, who was given 40 years right now, he's in prison, when he was on trial and Claudia was testifying, somebody was in the back taking notes. That was the actual shooter. And that's what Claudia was pointing out, like, that's him. That's the one. She was ignored. Nobody paid attention. The prosecutor, like ADA, didn't pay attention to her. So then when she's attempting to enter the courtroom for Pablo's trial, she's about to walk in and she told Eileen Bogart, who is that? Mind you, we have all this, like that's all in the Google Drive on the link. She said, who's that? And Eileen Bogart said, that's a defendant. And she's like, that's not him. That's not the one. I told you it was the one who's in the courtroom in the back taking notes. Oh, well, it's been a while. Just go ahead. We can't go back now. It's too late. And she's like, but that's not him. The other guy was shorter. So when she has her on the stand, she does her little spiel like, I know it's been a while and your memory, might not remember everything, but is this the shooter that you saw that night? And she's like, I said, it looks like him, but, and she goes, okay, that's enough. Next question. And like, and I was thinking to myself, if I was there, I would have spoken up like, hey, let her finish, But it's like everything was just, and I even told Pablo, why didn't anybody speak up or say something? And he's like, Lisa, like, it just happened so fast. And I kept telling my attorney, and like, I thought, since I'm innocent, it's all going to come out. Everything, this man was just a whole domino effect of just bad luck.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, so if the prosecutor asked, do you see the shooter in the courtroom? And she says, well, it looks like him. But then the defense, when it's time for the defense to question that, then they can rehabilitate the witness and says, well, is that him or not? Did that happen?
Right. No.
Didn't happen.
No. No.
Boy. The racehorse was out to pasture that day. You know what I mean?
Right. And to this day, though, Claudia, we're so thankful for her. Like, she's been supportive of Pablo. With her and Nancy that night they were together, but Claudia's been so supportive, and she's recanted her testimony, and she claims publicly as well that Pablo is innocent. And it's truly a nightmare.
And now, what about because if he sold the car, was there any kind of Department of Motor Vehicle records saying, hey, the car's been re-registered by this new person, anything like that?
No, because he didn't do that. Yeah. What he did do was purchase a radio in his name. We have that receipt, and the store clerk said, "Oh yeah, he described him to a T and gave us, a copy of the receipt to the legal team." So we even have that. And then the phone records even show this: the night that all that happened, the second night of the fight where the murder happened. There's phone logs of them, the bad guys, just constantly talking, calling each other nonstop. And then you look at Pablo's phone records from that night, and he's way over there in Weatherford, like driving up 45 north to Weatherford doing this. There's no communication with them at all. And even that didn't count for anything, apparently.
So the fellow that bought the car, was he involved in this shooting?
Yes, he's the one that drove away.
See, then he can't testify and say, "Yeah, I bought this car." Who has possession? Who had possession of that car though after the murder?
Well, that's what shows in the phone records. How after the whole crime was done, he was calling Pablo's phone, telling him, "Hey, report the car stolen." Mind you, Pablo just came home from that 4.5-hour drive, and then he went home and had a bowl of cereal and saw his brothers, and then his mom heard him home, but then he ended up leaving in the truck, just the truck, because it was the trailer that had messed up, to go see a girl who, this is going to get so crazy, who went to go see a girl, and he was hoping that when a policeman had passed by, because you're not supposed to have those trucks on the streets, residential, right. He was hoping that night he would have received a ticket because it would have showed that he was there. Because he's like, if only the cop would have given me a ticket, because they made eye contact with each other. And the neighbor who saw Pablo there at the girl's house, we have an affidavit from him too saying, no, he was here. Like, I saw him. I was outside on my phone and I saw him. We have all that. But the guy who bought the car, the bad guy, he was calling Pablo to say, report the car stolen. He's like, why? What happened? He goes, just report the car stolen. Well, I'm going to do it when I wake up because like I just got home. I'm tired, I'm sleepy. So then Pablo sleeps. And then when he's finally awake, he gets, the call again. And he's like, no, never mind. Don't report it stolen. He's like, well, what's wrong with the car? What happened? Nothing. Just never mind. Come pick it up. I can't pay for it anymore. I didn't get the paperwork to my name. He's like, but you already gave me the money for it. He's like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep it. And so Pablo went and picked up the car and then took it back to where he originally purchased it from and, said, hey, I can't afford this car anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I've asked, where is that vehicle through all these years? Didn't they do, just swipe it, DNA, anything? And apparently, no. They said, no, the car's been disposed of. And I was like, how, though? If he's still been fighting this case through all these years, how do you just get rid of this car like that? Why was it never checked properly?
Yeah, that should have been something that the defense did, when he first got arrested.
Yeah.
Now, what about this car? I guess we'll call him the car buyer. Did he have a criminal record?
Yes, him and the actual shooter who was in front of Claudia.
And the car buyer, too, also suspected to be an informant?
Yep, both of them.
Yeah.
We even have an affidavit because he did go to prison for a little bit.
The car buyer.
I don't know yes, and I don't know what for, but literally a little bit. But he was out in the yard discussing how they pinned this on an innocent guy and like, ha, ha, he, he. Well, some of those inmates around them heard him talking, and we have their affidavits. Yeah. Yeah. And still nothing can be done, it seems. And that's why I figure, like, this fight is Emerson's father's fight to do, not mine, or not us for Pablo. It's like, I'm just here to show you here the facts, here's the evidence, the falsified testimony from one of the detectives on the case who claimed he was in the room when Claudia was questioned, which later came out that, oh, no, he wasn't in there.
Wait, who was in the room with Claudia when she was being questioned?
It was said that Detective Swainson and Detective King were both in the room together interviewing Claudia.
Right.
And that's not true. It later came out that, oh, yeah, no, he wasn't in the room when he said he was.
In this email you sent me, it says evidence was found in the home of a Houston Police Department officer. Well, what's going on with that?
That was the notebook of the notes where it says witnesses say it was, so-and-so, so-and-so, but nobody wants to come forward to testify. It's in the detective's notes. And where it also says Pablo, nobody's saying Pablo was here. It's just mind-blowing.
How'd you get a hold of those notes?
The legal team. Yeah.
Yeah, but wait, how'd they get it? You can't just laugh.
I'm sorry.
This is a serious interview. How'd you get your hands on those notes?
Well, there's even more stuff. Like, the legal team has that. They were finally told, oh, by the way, this was left out. And it's like, really? Now that this man's already been sentenced? And the only thing that they did, at first, the judge was trying to give Pablo 70 years. Right. Mind you, no criminal record whatsoever. Nothing. And then 50 years. And then went down to 30.
Does he have a chance for parole? After 30 years, he has to do the full 30?
Well, he did. He's seen parole 2 times already. Right. 4 years ago, and then 2 years ago, and then now next year. But he has no cases on him. He's not affiliated with anything. Has all these certificates, and then. But
he's not going in there admitting his guilt.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I know, but they're going to want that. Why wouldn't he just go along with that? Because a lot of guys do these kind of murders. They're on 8 years.
Yeah, but he didn't do it though. He had nothing to do with it. I understand that too, though, because I couldn't. There's no way.
After 18 years, you don't admit to everything. I went to the Kennedy assassination
No,
after
but
18 years. But the thing is,
but
is anybody advising him, telling him he can't go into this parole hearings and claim he didn't do this? You can't declare your innocence in the parole hearings. Is anybody telling him that?
there's been discussions, yes. The first parole attorney we had, I mean, he was amazing. And Claudia was there to speak on Pablo's behalf, in support of Pablo.
Yeah.
And so, it's the parole board is in Palestine, Texas. But they went through everything, and it seemed great, favorable. We never got our hopes up, but then it's denied based off of the charge. So then we're up the second time he's up for parole. And we had one of the directors from the Innocence Project. And even that, everything looked good until we got that denial again. And they based it off of the actual charge, which just shows you we even have letters of support from the correctional officers, or from a few of them in there. And Pablo has jobs for when he comes home. Everything is lined up. We have got family and friend support letters, 2 job offers on the table, although we know which one he wants to do. He was always into mechanic because we don't think he could go back on the road when he's home immediately like that. But we have everything. But the district attorney's office here has sent a letter both times opposing his release. And when I questioned her about that, she wasn't aware of it because it was her office that was doing it. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense to me because, yes, it was other people's names on it. But I said, this is your job as the DA, I get it. There's a lot of cases. But if you're familiar with this case, and she's just like, Lisa, look, I'm going to call you, come to my office, and I'll take a look at everything. And I said, all right, that's fine. I won't say a word. I'll lay it all on the table for you, and you're going to see it yourself. Because, mind you, I worked her campaign when she was newly elected DA the first time. And that's when I said,
even if she didn't write that first letter, if someone in her office wrote that first letter, she can write a clarification letter and right there in front of you. What's wrong? How come that's not being done?
Exactly. That's exactly what I want.
And what's her position on that? Why can't she do that right now today?
She needs to see why her team is opposed to his release.
Okay. So Claudia, the eyewitness, attended the parole hearing. What about Emerson's family? Did they attend the parole hearing?
No.
Did they present any letters or anything with their opinion on whether they wanted to stay or go?
No.
Oh, boy. Something's really fishy here, man. Now, you say there's a Google Drive with all this information. Where can people find that? On
that link tree of the Pablo's link tree. It's like link tree, Pablo Velez Jr.
Yeah, I got the link tree. The first one says Judge Nikita Harmon, donations are appreciated, Pablo Velez, Google Drive. There it is right there. It says Google Drive. Okay.
And when you click it, there's a lot on there, but you'll see, I've spent so much time invested in this. This is what I mean. To me, I don't understand how this system, we're supposed to trust the system, have faith in it, and go to the authorities when something is wrong. And here it is. There's so many things that are wrong, and it's not fixed. And as far as the opinions, when we were denied the appeals, there's nothing there. One of them was, where the state was supporting what the judge in the county, they're just her ruling. And it's so you didn't take the time to look at what we actually presented to you. The Brady violations at falsified testimony, they don't look at anything. They just pass the papers and just keep it moving.
Yeah, what were the grounds for the appeal?
The Brady violations were one, and then the recanted testimony from the witness, and then the falsified testimony were the detectives. And those 2 detectives are named in 2 other cases out of Harris County who are also wrongful convictions.
And what specifically were the Brady violations?
Well, let me grab all that because there's so much in my brain. It's just ugh. One of them was a lot of it is based on the witnesses and the testimony. Oh, and the notebook as well.
For the audience, Brady is when the prosecutor doesn't turn over exculpatory evidence to the defense in order before the trial. Okay, it would be a Brady violation.
The notebook.
So one is the notebook, and then and what about there must have been witness statements from this Claudia saying, "Hey, that's not the guy," right?
Right, and we have all that, but you'll see where it's only the top where she was allowed to answer the question. Like I said that looks like him, but the shooter had lighter hair. And then the other thing was the video lineup that nobody has ever seen, which would totally eliminate Pablo based off of his height.
Wait, so you're saying there was some kind of a video lineup?
Yes.
That was shown to Claudia?
No, they didn't show her that. They didn't show anybody that. And yes, I have that too.
But the thing is, so they held a video lineup, but then didn't show that lineup to anybody.
Correct. And why, Now,
when the Innocence Project comes on board, and by the way, people think that the Innocence Project do this out of the goodness of their heart. Okay, they make a lot of money on these wrongful death, wrongful prosecution cases. Okay, so they're motivated, okay, to find good cases and focus their attention on good cases, good for their interest. Now, so the thing is, what was their theory of the case?
Well, because there was no DNA involved, we didn't receive any assistance from them.
You're right. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. So, but you said that they somehow appeared at the parole hearing or something.
Yes, we had one of the parole attorneys was the actual director of the Innocence Project. So we thought, okay, great. You're going to represent him as a parole attorney, and we're going to start, working with you on this. But no, it was pretty much, that was it.
Yeah, Innocence Project. Yeah, you're right. It has to be DNA. It has to be exculpatory DNA, and then they get paid these big giant settlements. So, but they took your case just hourly.
Yep. Oh. And even that, because they saw his, everything was just pro bono.
Oh, okay. Everything was pro bono. Right?
Which I've been approached because I do have all of, Pablo's stuff, but I've been approached by civil rights attorneys who are saying, we can sue the city, the state, the county, and blah, 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 because I get it. They see, like you said, all these dollar signs.
Right.
So that might be their motive. But it's hard to decide which one, who's a good one, who's actually doing it for the right reasons. But the other thing is I keep thinking, okay, come on, I've got to have some type of faith in the justice system to get this done. And it's like I said, for me, it's been 4 years later, but for Pablo, it's been 18 years. And still, we get to some point and then that's it. So
when's his next?
I've had so many.
When's his next parole
day?
April. April of this year?
April 25.
Oh, April 25.
April
okay.
25.
All
yeah.
right. And it's okay. So, my suggestion would be then before then you get a hold of Emerson's family, and the guy who bought the car, you say he took off to Mexico?
No, the one who was being shot at. We were told he went to Mexico and that he passed away over there.
And baby's father took off to Mexico, but we still have Claudia.
Yes.
And what about Emerson's family? Do you think maybe they would?
No.
No.
Mm-mm. They don't. They don't like us. They don't, and I don't know why. I guess they're mad. I understand that, but for the father's own words to be, well, I guess somebody has to pay for my son's death, and to me, that's your son, your only son, to carry your name. And you don't want to fight to get the actual, people who are responsible for taking your son away from you. And that's why I say that night, 2 people lost their lives. Unfortunately, Emerson was murdered, but Pablo lost his freedom. Right. So, yeah. And I know that, I do have a mouth on me, but I'm not ever rude or I'm not like that. I don't speak to people derogatory, but I know one of the statements that I have made that some city officials don't seem to appreciate is that I feel that Pablo was kidnapped by the county and sold to Texas. And they're like, why could you say it? It sounds so harsh. I said, because that's what happened here. He was kidnapped by Harris County and sold to Texas. He's just a dollar sign. All inmates are like dollar signs in there.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation. But at least he has family and support and people like you to help him out here, to make some kind of effort. Because even just, we were talking before about the parole hearing. You have to have a residence where you're going to move to when you get out, and no one has to have felony convictions there. There's all kinds of stuff you need to prepare. Like you said, a job waiting for you, all these kind of things just that the average guy needs just to get parole. It would seem that he's a great candidate for parole, If he's never been in trouble, you say he took the classes, he's taking courses inside. No one from the victim's family is showing up there, you know? And that's right away, that's a gold mine. If you can get them to show up and say we want them released, that's a rubber stamp. When's your next meeting with this prosecutor?
I am going to call her because she's told me this and we have emails back and forth. I did have a first, no date is set yet, but I had one press conference a couple of years ago, and her response to the media was, well, does he even have a legal team? Why haven't they reached out to me? So I went ahead and screenshot my email correspondence back and forth with her that says, yeah, Kim, remember you and I were talking about this, and by the way, his legal team did reach out to you because you had breakfast with them to discuss this case. And she never said anything back. It's like a game that they're trying to play, and you can't play with people's lives like this.
Yeah. Well, I would recommend you send her a letter that she has to sign for, like a certified letter, you know, rather than these emails, you know, have some paperwork there, because then you could always attach that to the parole report. But no, he doesn't have a legal team now helping him now?
No. He says all we need is God, and we're just going to keep pushing forward. So,
he's done more than half his time.
And he doesn't complain like, boo-hoo, I'm sitting here for something. He's just like, I'm not going to let this get to me, you know? And he just, you know, goes to work, does his time, and you know, we're on the phone, and, you know, it's like, it's hard to bring up like, oh, when you're home, you know, this and this and that, or, you know, different things. I do my best not to discuss anything like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, still trying.
Yep.
I haven't lost hope.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want the audience to know about this?
No, I do appreciate the time though, because, and the opportunity, because what I've seemed to learn is that it feels like nobody, unless it affects them directly, they don't want to hear it, you know, and that's sad. I
know, but also too, like there's thousands of guys. You know, we have so many people incarcerated, you know. There's thousands of guys with, you know, crappy cases, crappy lawyers, you know, bad witnesses, you know, all kinds of stuff. People, you know, and if you try and help every one of them, forget it, you'll go crazy.
I know.
I know, man. It's even people I like.
I'm getting letters.
Oh, you're getting letters from what?
From others, from men and women, and from some teens, asking, can you help me? You know, I don't have anybody to help me, and so I do my best and stuff, you know, to do what I do, and I'm still trying to learn my 3 scripts for my other films that are in the process, so I'm trying to handle it all. And one of my girlfriends was like, how do you do this? Like, you're not getting paid for this. I said, I know, it's just like somebody's got to help them, because like, if, you know, I'm trying my best to help them, and they know, you know, and I give them advice, or some family members do call, well, what do I do with this? And it's like, it is, like you said, you can kind of go crazy, but I like helping others, except sometimes it truly is draining, and I wish that I could do so much more.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking. Even, like I said, people you know before they get caught up in this kind of stuff, you know. And then, you know, I got a friend of mine, she's facing a long time for methamphetamine manufacture. And she doesn't even understand the details of her case. She doesn't understand the charges, when the court date is. Just it's all hopeless. You know, the lawyers don't call you back. You know, and it's just a horrific system we have here. These are human lives, man. These are human beings. You know, Pablo, did he have like a wife and kids and stuff at the time?
He has 4 children, but even then, back then, he was taking care of the children, keeping in touch with the children, you know, and even though he's back and forth on the road, so even throughout the years, he's always tried to reach out to them, and now they're older now, the kids are, but he's always maintained that nobody can ever say, well, he wasn't a good dad, he wasn't around. This man would write letters, would call, and it's just time changes so many things. And I've seen some, like, it seems like your friends are all here with you when you're out, but when you're sent away, like, where are your friends? Where are your people? So I truly wouldn't be surprised if when this man comes home and he's able to just get back on the road, he just goes back to doing his loads, deliveries, and just working again. Because that's where it seemed like he always just enjoyed just the scenic route, enjoying beautiful America.
Well, I tell you, if he did had a successful civil case, you'll find that he has millions of friends. Suddenly,
I know, right?
He'll find all the friends. What about the wife, though, the mother of those kids? Is he still in good terms with her?
No, because let me think how to say it.
Well, it sounds like he was cheating on her that night, wasn't he? Maybe?
Well, something like that. But when he left, when he was sent away, like 8 months later, she was with someone else. So Pablo's been alone for those years until 4 years ago.
And his mother and father are still alive?
Mm-hmm.
And brothers and sisters, his family?
Really sweet. Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, they can all write letters and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll go back over this link tree again here. If you want to follow up on this case here, the first place I suggest you would go to would be Lisa Bratt Martinez, her Instagram page. And it's not entirely focused on all of this. She's into a lot of stuff. Animals. Do you have animal rescue too, you do?
I love animals, yes. And my favorite are wolves. But yes, I love all animals.
Right. And so you have like an animal rescue that you run?
Yes, I do. The Hugs and Kisses Foundation.
Okay, there you go. And so check out the Lisa Bratt Martinez on Instagram, and you'll find the link tree over there, and it has all this stuff here for justice for Pablo Velez Jr., wrongfully convicted in Houston, judicial misconduct, falsified testimony, and lies. You can contact the judge. You can make a donation. There's a Google Drive. Now, when I clicked on that Google Drive, the only thing I found in there was some video from Univision. Now, you're saying there's other documents on there?
There's other there's documents. I turned a lot of the PDF, like we have a storyline.
Right.
There was PDF, but I turned it into JPEG to where it makes it easier to kind of follow through everything because it has it's clearly laid out.
Right. Then you can write to the governor. You can write to the Texas Parole Board, the Houston District Attorney. Then there's the Facebook page, which is Justice for Pablo Velez Jr., so you can join that and keep up on what's going on with the case here, too. And what do you guys do? Like you hold rallies and protests, too, as well?
Yes, we do that also.
Yeah. But he has no attorney representing him now?
No, just his brat person somehow. She's helping him out.
You're doing the best you can. So anything else you want the audience to know before we go?
When will this air?
Well, we're taping this right now. We're taping this Thursday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to air Friday night, like I told you, as a podcast. I'll send you the link before it airs tomorrow night.
Okay.
And then the stations play whenever they want. It'll go up on the drive. They'll play whenever they want. Okay. Lisa Bratt Martinez, thank you so much. Okay. If any kind of news comes up on this, you want to keep me updated on this, I would love to keep in contact with you here and see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah. And God bless Pablo Velez, man. It sounds like an innocent guy. It sounds like a lot of exculpatory evidence here, man. Miscarriage of justice.
Thank you so much.
I know, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.